Hello and good evening to you. Welcome. This is Ghana Tonight. We're live morning news up here at this week and also live on Tuesday Ghana on Facebook, DSTV channel 279, all across the world on 3news.com. I am Alfred Ocansey. Tonight, the Office of the Special Prosecutor is giving some assurances. We'll get to the details of that shortly, but the IGP is being accused of masterminding the leaked audio tape. This is after the second day of the appearance of COP Alex Mensah before the ad hoc committee established by the Speaker of Parliament to look into it. Shortly, we will get into that here on Ghana Tonight. There's been some reactions. We'll speak to a former police chief on the second day, as we heard today. Also, the NDC is being advised by the former chair of the Electoral Commission, Dr. Kojo Afari-Gyan, to return to the Inter-Party Advisory Committee, IPAC. Stay with us. We'll tell you what the NDC's reaction is on Ghana Tonight. Also, Labour has been reacting to the Article 71 Holders Committee that was inaugurated by the President 2 days ago. According to the National Association of Graduate Teachers and the Ghana National Association of Teachers, NAT, this is discriminatory, and they also want an emoluments committee to be set up to determine the salaries of public sector workers. Stay with us. We'll get into all of these, plus what's happening all across the world as well. Let's hear from you. The hashtag we're using is Ghana Tonight on Facebook and Twitter. Let's get talking. Let's settle for Ghana Briefs.
Commissioner of Police George Alex Mensah has accused the IGP, Dr. George Ekufu-Dampare, of being behind the recording and leaking of the audio tape at the center of an alleged plot to oust the IGP. Appearing before the bipartisan parliamentary committee, COP George Alex Mensah implored the committee to invite the IGP to answer questions on the leaked tape.
Intel suggests that what was used to taped conversation was done by the current IGP. He sent some people to do it, and after which he went for it. So the tape from my intel is with the IGP, and he caused it to be leaked.
A former chairman of the Electoral Commission, Dr. Kojo Afari-Gyan, is urging the opposition National Democratic Congress to consider returning to the Inter-Party Advisory Committee, IPAC. At a conference of NDC lawyers at Akosombo in the Eastern region, he tasked the party to discuss concerns and seek solutions to enhance the electoral process.
To the important thing the Electoral Commission is doing at any point in time. It makes it possible to discuss concerns of the parties, and it makes it possible to contribute to the making of subsidiary legislation. I would appeal to the NDC to go back. So, of singular importance is there. So don't worry about it. They don't take my ideas. Don't do that. Please go there and make your ideas carried and felt.
The minority in Parliament and its allies have filed an affidavit opposing the Accra Regional Police Command's motion to prohibit the Occupy Bank of Ghana protest. The affidavit argues that the police motion is an attempt to violate constitutional rights and liberties. The Ghana National Association of Teachers and the National Graduate Teachers Association have described the setting up of an emoluments committee solely for Article 71 office holders as discriminatory. The two pre-tertiary education unions were reacting to the setting up of the committee recently by President Akufo-Addo.
Call it whatever you want to call it, but the discriminatory emolument policy of our state is really not helping, and it contributes to corruption.
Once we are in the month of September, we are left with October, November, and budget is expected to be read somewhere November. And so once that of the Article 71 people is going to start, we should do all together so that we can finish everything on time and put it to the budget. We are good to go.
It is a season of upper respiratory infections commonly called flu, and more children and the aged are mostly at risk. According to the health authorities, though there is no significant increase in cases reported at health facilities across the country, cases reported are predominantly of the organism H3N2 virus rather than the H1N1 virus usually reported.
Whichever we pick, we will not have missed the opportunity to give you the adequate treatment. Children and the aged are the most vulnerable around this time because they have a lower immunity threshold. So it is very important that once you are having those symptoms, you come to the hospital. If you have a headache, take just paracetamol. Don't abuse the other medications, especially for children. You are not supposed to give them the non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. It will cause different complications.
The epidemiology, usually, it gets milder so that it can survive. It goes from person to person, and then it feeds on our cells. That's how it survives. When it improves transmission, it wants to be around, so it tries to improve the transmission, and then it loses its power to be harsh or virulent on us. The H3N2 is less virulent than the H1N1.
Look at the ministers. Are they technocrats? Are they the people running? But they will use politics to poison the system. The power belongs to the people. The educated people must help the people to take charge of the country, which belongs to them, and benefit from it by putting in place real and practical institutions that will bring them benefit in their daily lives, and not be playing tricks with a system I will call democratic, and it's an instrument for defrauding the people, impoverishing them, deepening the poison of partisan politics, further and further and further. Our life now is just you situate yourself politically and get what you can get from it. That is becoming our drive of life in this country.
Well, that's retired Supreme Court Judge Justice William Atuguba there. He's gone hard on corruption in the country. He's bemoaning the impact of corruption on the country, our lives as citizens. The fact that now just about political affiliations and people making the most out of politics at the expense of the people, through which power emanates in a democracy. And he's even questioning the kind of democracy that we're practicing, which leads to just a few people enriching themselves at the expense of the masses. We'll get to that. And there's some sound message in there here on Ghana Tonight. But coming up next, Inspector General of Police, Dr. George Ekufu-Dampare, has been accused of being the architect behind the recording and leaking of the tape purported to be a plot for his removal. The second witness, COP Alex Mensah, he gives yet another shocking testimony on his second appearance before the committee probing this matter. He said a number of things, including the fact that, in his view, this IGP, Dr. George Ekufu-Dampare, is the worst IGP in the 31 years of his service. That's COP Alex Mensah. We'll subject that to some conversation. But this is him earlier talking about, in his view, that IGP Dr. George Ekufu-Dampare is the one who leaked this audio. Take a look.
My intel suggests that what was used to tape the conversation was done by the current IGP. He sent some people to do it, and after which he went for it. So the tape, from my intel, is with the IGP, and he caused it to be leaked. So if this committee wants the tape, the right person to call before this committee is the Inspector General of Police.
Well, this particular position by COP Alex Mensah has been subject of conversation, because we do know that on Monday, when Daniel Bugri-Nabu appeared before the same committee, he admitted that he was the one who actually recorded this audio tape. He went to a mall, Crown Mall, to go and buy a recorder to record this tape and then give it to the president so he knows exactly what's happening, right? So that Bugri-Nabu's position, plus what COP Alex Mensah is saying today, raises fundamental questions about his position and whether Bugri-Nabu, now coming out by himself to own this tape, is anything to go by. Now, let's go on to the telephone now. We'll get to what Bugri-Nabu said. COP Bright Oduro, retired, is a former Director General of the Criminal Investigations Department of the Ghana Police Service. He's joining us on the telephone. Thank you so much. COP Bright Oduro, retired for a time here on Ghana Tonight. First off, I mean, some have described these 2 days of COP Alex Mensah's appearance as a cocktail of inconsistencies in some of the things that he said. But you, as a former police chief, sitting back, listening to him, how did some of the responses strike you?
Thank you, my brother. I think I have expressed my view somewhere earlier yesterday, and I think that we should not only give premium to the portion that said that if IGP is not removed, there will be difficulty in making the league. I don't think that is the only part that should engage our attention. I think the 3 officers or the 2 officers said so many things, and we need to investigate or interrogate all the things that he said, apart from the fact that he mentioned that if the IGP is not removed, the party will find difficulty in making the league. There are other aspects as well. So I think yesterday I spoke to some other media house and said that if we could also have an inquiry, if the president could set up a committee of inquiry to look into all the things that the officers said. One of the things he said was about his relationship with the military, and I think that it's very important. If the relationship is not good, I think it will have so much negative impact on security. So I believe that there is a need for a thorough investigation to be conducted into everything that the officers mentioned in their engagement with Bugri-Nabu.
I see. So for you, regardless of the aspect of COP Alex Mensah's remarks or responses, which you say are quite concerning, he may be only revealing some serious matters in the Ghana Police Service, which are true and real and must be looked into.
He's a senior officer, and I think he was also in line for the IGP position in some time. I think that has been already established or stated that he was also in line for the IGP position. So he's not an ordinary police officer. He's a senior police officer. He's been regional commander. He's been director of operations. He's been director admin, director general admin, and so on. So he sits in the former, police management committee. He sits in there, and so he's privy to most of the things that are happening in the police service. So if he engages in a private conversation with a top political activist and he mentions all the things that he mentioned, I don't think we need to rush anything under the carpet. We need to interrogate and see the realities on the ground in the police service. So that if there are remedies, then we look forward to remedying the problems that are there. If the IGP is also performing to the mandate,
right.
then of course everything is fine. So that is how I feel it. I don't think we need to bastardize the officers. We should interrogate whatever they have said and then see what exactly is wrong or not wrong with the police.
Okay, but COP Brighton retired. Yesterday, COP Alex Mensah said, and I quote, "I will say this anyway, the current IGP is not managing the service well," unquote. Today, he actually lifted the bar of that criticism a notch higher. He says that, in his view, for the 31 years of his service to the Ghana Police Service, George Ekufu-Dampare, Dr. George Ekufu-Dampare, is the worst IGP ever. So I just want to find out from you, as a retired COP, what's the criteria for the assessment of the work of an IGP?
We have service regulations, we have service instructions, we have CI 76, we have Police Service Act 350, and we have other statutes that govern the police service. So in that view, that is what the officer said. He said he has been the worst IGP in the history of the police. That is his view. And I don't know the measure where he's taking that from. But that is what I'm saying. It is important for us to look into. He is the worst. Has he justified, has he explained, has he told the committee why he is the worst? I don't think you want to spell that in public like that. Whatever he has to say cannot be said in public like that, because the police, of course, is a security institution, and so many things need not be said in public. So if the committee is set up, they sit in camera, and then we listen to other officers as well, then we'll be able to understand what actually he means by being the way IGP, the issue of the Ghana Police Service. I have no position to see, because I am not working with him as IGP. I retired before he became IGP. And I am not privy to most of the things that are happening in the police service.
I see. Right. But so for you, does all of this, at least the details of this leaked audio we have had the benefit of listening to, give credence to the fact that the calls for the review of the mode of appointment of the IGP and the appointing authority, being the president, has to be looked at again, so that nobody would have the reason to go and lobby the president to have an IGP removed, so that appointing authority should be taken away from the president?
I think so. As for the position of the IGP, I don't think people have said, and a lot of people have expressed their opinion. It shouldn't be the president that should appoint the IGP at all.
Right.
I think we can improve the process, the system of selecting the IGP. It shouldn't be just the president in consultation with the Council of State to appoint the IGP. I think something more should be done. I think some interviews must be conducted if you want to appoint the IGP. Some interviews must be conducted. Look at maybe the top 5 officers, and then some interviews conducted, and then from there we can pick 2 or 3 for maybe the president to pick 1. I think in that case we will not rely on party alone to choose IGP, because the chances are that we will pick somebody who they think align with the party. You see, and that I don't think that is good enough for us now.
Right. And should this be one of the recommendations you would propose that this 7-member ad hoc committee captures in their recommendations?
I don't know. I don't know what, because I think they have some scope. I don't know whether it is also part of what they have to look for. I don't know. But they have been given some scope within which to look into this matter.
Right.
And whether that is
Appreciate your time. COP Bright Odro, retired former Director General of the Criminal Investigations Department of the Ghana Police Service. Thank you so much for joining us here on Ghana Tonight. Now, you heard COP Alex Mensah make the point quite forcefully that he believes, based on his intel, that it was the current IGP, Dr. George Akuffo-Dampare, who masterminded the recording and the leakage of this this audio that has gone viral. Now, take a listen to Daniel Bugri Nabu, his admission on Monday about how this audio was leaked. Take a look.
I cannot keep everything they were talking to me at that point. It was very, very good to record them so that I know the president. If I tell him something, he'll follow up with the truth. Next time, he will not give me respect. You know him and I know him. So the best thing was to ensure that when I tell him, he asked me, "Are you sure?" I said, "Well, this is the tape. I don't want to miss it. You listen to it."
Well, so you see the contrast for yourself. That's Daniel Bugri Nabu there, admitting that he indeed recorded this for the president, but the intel of COP Alex Mensah says, well, it's the IGP who did that. You're the best judges of exactly what's going on. But as to whether the IGP would be invited by this committee to answer some questions, we put that question to the chair of this ad hoc committee, Samuel Atachiam. This was his response.
For the IGP to be hauled before the committee or to be invited in relating to the matters in issue, is this a request that the committee would consider?
It's a likelihood. You see, and it's all gotten to do with how the evidence is evolving. So it's a likelihood. Because the facts we should place before Parliament, the plenary, should not be shoddy. It should not be one-sided. So it's a likelihood.
Well, so that's Samuel Atachiam there. We'll see how the coming days will look like here on Ghana Tonight. But coming up next, as election 2024 beckons, former chair of the Electoral Commission, Dr. Kojo Afari-Gyan, has prevailed upon the National Democratic Congress, NDC, to consider going back to the Inter-Party Advisory Committee, that's IPAC, after they boycotted its meeting since 2021. Now, let's take a look at the former chair of the Electoral Commission making that point or that proposal to the NDC to consider returning to the IPAC. And this was the reason he gave for that appeal. Take a look.
I think that of singular importance is the Inter-Party Advisory Committee. The IPAC makes it possible for political parties to know and make inputs to the important thing the Electoral Commission is doing at any point in time. It makes it possible to discuss concerns of the parties, and it makes it possible to contribute to the making of subsidiary legislation. I would appeal to the NDC to go back to the IPAC, if you have not already gone, madam. All right. So, of singular importance is there. So don't worry about it. They don't take my ideas. Don't do that. Please go there and make your ideas heard and felt.
So, Dr. Kojo Afari-Gyan said this at a meeting of the NDC lawyers in Cape Coast, that's a big part in Kosombo, where he made this appeal to them to consider going back to IPAC. Now, there was a response to this appeal that the former EC chair made. The former director of elections of the NDC, Elvis Efriankra, he's also bemoaned the conduct of the Electoral Commission, saying it is the reason the NDC is finding it difficult to return to IPAC. He was reacting to that call by Dr. Afari-Gyan.
So this is the difficulty, and I'm talking from practical experience. I was in IPAC together together with my other colleagues and current chairman, Asedun Ketia, on countless occasions, we made what we consider to be valuable inputs, sometimes even supported by the other side. I can cite so many cases. For example, the last registration exercise before the 2020, the EC came and said they were going to register 300,000 people. We said, what was the basis? They said, well, they are the EC, so based on their perspective, they will register 300,000 people. We wrote to Statistical Service. Statistical Service gave us the data. The minimum was projection was about 1.5 or 1.7, if I remember correctly. They came back and said, okay, they've increased it arbitrarily to 500,000. Next meeting, they've increased it arbitrarily to 700,000. Ultimately, they ended up registering 1.3 million. Means that they did not prepare. This is a typical case study. I can cite countless examples. So it got to a point, you go to IPAC, it doesn't matter how impactful or forceful your opinions are, it is just not listened to. They don't take that into account. So we're just like a rubber stamp. The EC will decide to do whatever it wants. So we boycotted IPAC. Albeit we said it was temporary. Truth be told, some of us were considering, okay, we're going into an election, can we consider going back and all that? Only for the EC to display such behavior to the other minority parties who, when we boycotted, they were telling us, oh, you need to come back, you need to come back. Today, the very reasons why we left, they've been fed with the same medicine. They've tasted that medicine, and now they are complaining. So the problem is not us. The problem is the attitude and stance and posturing of the Electoral Commission. Why do you go to IPAC? You go to IPAC so that you can make inputs. It doesn't mean that whatever you say should be taken on board, hood, line, and sinker. There's a history of IPAC. Dr. Farajan has been part of IPAC. Suggestions are made, it is shaped, it is agreed, disagreed, then we arrive at a consensus. This has been the tradition since 1993. What is it about this current EC that they will not take any input, irrespective of how sanguine it is from anybody? Now, this particular case of the registration, doesn't make sense that you say that you do registration at district offices when you haven't done registration for the past 3 years. That's a huge backlog. And they've cited examples where some distances between district offices and some communities are 86 kilometers. These are poor farmers, as Elijah Udiaya said, who cannot even buy fertilizer. So, and when they travel to those places and they do not have the Ghana card, it means they have to carry guarantors along with them. Okay, in the event that they go there and there are large numbers of people, it means they have to find a place to sleep, feed. Is it fair? You just tell me. Is it fair? Is it realistic? Article 45E says that the EC must put in place measures to expand the register. By this conduct, is it expanding the register?
Elvis Efriankra there responding to that appeal by Dr. Kojo Afarijan. But if you recall, these were the concerns that the NDC raised and reason why they actually decided to get out of IPAC. At the time, Johnson Esidun Ketia was the General Secretary of the party. He said the NDC declined an invitation by the Electoral Commission of Ghana to attend an IPAC meeting to review the 2020 parliamentary presidential elections, which was scheduled for today, Wednesday, 21st of April, 2021. And these were the reasons they gave. The party took the decision because of the lack of candor, odious duplicity, and open bias that was displayed by Jean Mensah-led Electoral Commission in favor of the new patriotic party in the conduct of the 2020 general elections. It goes on to say that it is the considered view of the NDC that the current leadership of the Electoral Commission who supervised the manipulation of the 2020 elections and the stolen verdicts that resulted from same lack integrity. It continues, essentially a credibility and impartiality to lead any such discussions or review of the very elections they rigged, unquote. Nanaya Jantua is General Secretary of the CPP. She's joining us on the telephone. She led, Nana, thank you for joining us here on Ghana Tonight. You led a group of some political parties to appeal to the NDC to consider coming back to the Inter-Party Advisory Committee, IPAC. They say that will be subject to their concerns being met. That's what they're talking about.
Thank you very much, Alfred, and thank you for giving the CPP the opportunity to talk about this issue. We have been in the forefront as members of IPAC and other political parties. It is necessary that the NDC comes to IPAC to be part of deliberations concerning the political situation and elections in this country. I personally took it upon myself to even talk to some eminent people in this country, notably the Peace Council, to intervene in this matter. And they've done some work. It is elating and refreshing to know that the NDC is considering to come to IPAC. And I believe that at this point of our political dispensation, and especially going to election 2024, I don't think that there should be any entrenched positions. I believe that whatever the issues are, we are all Ghanaians, we are all one people, should be trashed out, nicely, amicably, for them to be part of the IPAC, for us to all come together and deliberate as one people with Ghana on our minds and on our hearts. It is very important that as they go out there to speak to whoever or whoever would be the arbitrator, that they get to partner the best alternative to a negotiated agreement that would be beneficial to everybody. Because of all this protracted dispute between them and the EC, the time has come for them to get to that level. It is also important to note that, this should not be something that, should be protracted, because the EC has conducted 2 elections on the behalf of the NDC, and their primaries for the presidential and the parliamentary. And it was nicely done. The NDC even commended the EC for a good job done. So that is the first start. It is good that they want to come back. It is important that they are there. They are parts of the system. And, there's nothing really wrong with it. It's good news.
I see, but you would also agree that the concerns they raise, as you heard Officer Friankra talked about, are germane. And I'm sure for you, the CPP as well, I recall, you shared in some of the concerns that led to the NDC leaving the IPAC. Well, so shouldn't that also be considered before the appeal as well, especially because of the experiences that you, the CPP as well, have had?
You see, we always believe that it is better you sit in and fight than to sit outside and fight. So, seriously, if you are sitting on the fence and throwing pebbles, it's not as effective as sitting inside and throwing the pebbles. Because if you are sitting on the fence to throw pebbles, you might miss your mark. But if you are really inside and you throw your pebbles, then you know the target. So it is always good to be in there. Concerns are always raised. We are even talking about this issue of the registration, the limited registration and the venue for which it should be done and all that. But we are talking about it. We did a press conference, the other political parties. We are still discussing the issue. And we didn't, when the issue came up, we didn't say we are boycotting IPAC. We are staying in there to make sure that the right thing is done. So these concerns are there. But that does not mean that we should also not add our voice for things to be done properly. If we mute our voice and we stay out, then it means that things will be done anyhow. But if we stay in and speak out, then it means that things will be corrected.
Now, you heard Officer Friankra saying that while they were in there, the NDC, they were complaining about the same things that led them to go out. So the point about you saying that being in would give you an effective channel of having your voices heard. They say they've been there before and their voices or their issues were not giving a hearing while they were in there. So how about that?
It does not really matter. You see, that's what I'm saying, that if you come from an entrenched position, it wouldn't help. What has happened, whatever happened, has passed. I believe that by now the EC, whoever, they've all learned their lessons. And that if the relationship is mended, everybody will be careful and cautious on how they deal with each other and with all of us. You see, one thing that is problematic is the fact that IPAC is not legislated. And there is no law binding the EC to take what we say or do. But it is binding to the effect that we are existing because Ghana is a democracy and there should be elections. And EC exists because there should be elections. So no matter what it is, there is a need for the EC to listen to IPAC. But going into the future, I think that we should open the conversation on getting a law to back IPAC so that IPAC would not be like this a discussion forum or an advisory body, but a body that can also bite a little bit.
Right.
So these are all things that can be talked about. But as it stands, IPAC is not complete without one of its members.
Okay.
And that's far, if the NDC has been able to agree, even think about it, the thought itself, it is good. We do not think that there should be any entrenched position. We believe that whatever the issues are not issues that cannot be resolved. These are human relationship issues. These are behavioral issues that can be dealt with. Nobody is dying. Nobody has put a knife to the neck of anybody. These are things issues that can be dealt with and resolved. So that going to 2024 election, we are not going with acrimony. We need to put this nation together. This nation has to be intact. This nation has to be well before we get to 2024. If we get to 2024 with mistrust amongst ourselves, even at IPAC, it will not help. NDC is a key stakeholder. Political parties are key stakeholders in the democratic dispensation of this nation. Ghana is a multi-party democracy, and we need everybody on board to ensure that things are done right.
Anaya Jantua, thank you. General Secretary of the CPP, it is that mistrust and distrust that Officer Freya Ankra talks about. It shouldn't be the concern of just the MPP or the NDC, the issue of the mistrust for the electoral management body, but it should be a concern for all. Take a look.
Parties. But who are the MPP? Who is NDC? Who are the political parties? Who do they represent? Is it not all of us? So every citizen must be concerned, you see, particularly within the context of what is happening in this environment. Electoral disputes. 3 days ago, you saw what happened. God forbid we don't want any such thing. But who dreamt that Bongo will be sitting down and calling for people to make noise? I felt so embarrassed as an African to see whatever his foibles, he is still an African leader. And he was behaving like a kindergarten kid. These are the seats. So everybody must be concerned. Media, civil society, council of... No, I'm not talking about the physical council of elders that we have. I'm talking about elders in the land, chiefs, well-meaning Ghanaians. They must speak up. You don't speak up, you keep quiet, you won't say anything, things are going wrong, the signals are clear. Then when there's a crisis, you now start calling for what? ECOWAS intervention. Complete nonsense. So I think that every Ghanaian, well-meaning Ghanaian, must realize that the posturing of the EC, and if we were saying it and nobody believed us, now you've heard, even the MPP said that they were at the meeting, and the consensus was that they should do it at the electoral area. In fact, they said polling station, but if they cannot, electoral area. Only for the EC to go and come back and decide that we'll do it at it. And it's not reasonable.
Coming up next here on Ghana Tonight, labor unions react to the constitution of an emoluments committee to determine the remuneration and benefits of Article 71 office holders. The unions argue that the current regime is discriminatory. We assess the merits of the argument. Austin Gummy is a labor expert. He's going to be joining us right after this quick break on Ghana Tonight. Stay with us. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to demonstrate to you the superior properties of Flamingo paint as compared to other paint brands on the market. We take equal quantities of Flamingo paint and this ordinary paint. We then dilute them with water. And now, let the test begin. The gentleman on the left is going to apply the ordinary paint, and the gentleman on my right will use the Flamingo superior paint. As you can clearly see, Flamingo has the obvious better hiding. Furthermore, Flamingo has painted a much larger area. You know, 1 bucket of Flamingo paint is equal to several buckets of any other paint brand on the market. Flamingo paint is made with superior formulation to give superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage. Flamingo paint, simply superior.
The Ultimate Energy Personality of the Year at the 7th edition of your prestigious Ghana Energy Awards. Under the theme, Ghana's Energy Transition Framework, sector institutions as building block for the 2030 to 2040 target. You can nominate yourself or an institution for categories such as CEO of the Year, Energy Investment Impact Award, Energy Signature Award, Endorsement, Validation, Industry Partners, Media Partners, TV3, Ghana Energy Awards, 7 years of redefining excellence.
When you have the extra bit of ambition in your heart, you also need extra bit of energy to come through. And for that, Rush Energy is the perfect boost to get over the line. Created in the USA and proudly made in Ghana. Thanks to the unique formula, you have the power of ginseng, the benefit of vitamins and all the energy of inositol, taurine and caffeine. Anytime you need to go beyond, Rush Energy will help you get there.
Artificial intelligence, creativity and sustainability. Join this year's Africa Rising 6, brought to you by the International Advertising Association IAA at the Kempinski Hotel, Gold Coast City, as we uncover the power of building future-ready brands on 5th and 6th September. Speakers Sasan Saidi, World Chairman and President, International Advertising Association, Andrew Techiapia, Co-Founder and MD, ZPay, Letepu Machaba, Independent Business Leader, former Vice President of Home Care, Unilever, Ivan Moroki, CEO, Kanta South Africa, Guy Parker, Chief Executive, Advertising Standards Authority, United Kingdom, Steve Papaiko, CEO, Extreme Ideas, Sami Awuku, Director General, National Lottery Authority, and many more. This conference is sponsored by Margins Group, ZPay, Google, MTN, GOIL and NLA, Media Partners, CNN, Media General, Graphic Communication Group. Register now at www.africarising.iaaglobal.org for more information or contact Nanajwa on 0242 528 431 or the AAG Secretariat 0244 440477.
Everybody knows Acrobato. And if you know Acrobato, it means you know M-Punch Homeopathic Clinic. M-Punch Homeopathic Clinic is my pillar. Let's hear what others are saying about M-Punch Homeopathic Clinic. Who will be careful M-Punch one?
Chesena me ankasa me period na say problems wom. Ntina ma wo ho idea ma me. Papa chesena nya asem ketewa. Na me kwan point no mo hwe me mogya mu no mo hwe bibia na so mo meduro. Mo meduro me fire no. Ene ma won kra me enu. Foforo kwa na mkwan mu a eba.
Head everything yourself. Me ma me no adwodwo eda ho a wontumi nante. And then call endpoint. Omama nura and then the white dear what me sorry anante. That's endpoint for you.
Of Akrabato.
Hello.
Hey, what chair? Okay. A free bra would the endpoint what dance. I'm a choir no. Me just say my name Koye and person my name and imagine Sabema. Now me be here for the hard in You heard everything. I have secret. Endpoint is my secret. Endpoint homeopathy clinic. I'm free.
Are you a great FIFA player? Do you think you can beat anyone and be the very best in Ghana? The Warmer Plus Esports Festival is here to give you an experience. Join us at the forecourt of TV3. It will be a battle for supremacy in FIFA. Come around, let's smash it on the table tennis, football and a snooker table. Kick about with family and friends. Music, food and many more.
To run it through, Griezmann! Oh, it's there! And he has won FIFA World Cup.
So join us on this ride. It is the Warmer Plus Esports Festival happening on 2nd September 2023. Powered by 3 Sports. The Warmer Plus Esports Festival is brought to you by Rush Energy Drink, Mega 6 Lottery.
I'm a hero from zero up to hero.
Many with great voices have taken their chance on the biggest music reality show on screen.
Rap na kasa be my career.
Some stood out with their lyrical abilities and style. Mentor is back. The search is on. Who becomes the next winner? Mentor, the world awaits you.
He advised her to kill her own husband, a man who has loved and adored her.
People are marrying because of convenience. I'm getting old, I just want to marry, I want to enter. So therefore, all the other peripheral issues are not solved.
For some reason, my children bore no resemblance to their supposed father, nor me. And my husband's family is doubting that the kids are for my husband.
Those days, there was no DNA. How were our grandfathers and mothers able to detect Akoleoba? There's something
they were able to do that.
People who say, me,
serious, they would rather want you dead than to let people know who they really
are. To protect their fake life, their fake image.
Confessions shows on Saturdays at 9:30 p.m. on TV3.
Brought to you by
MTN. Unveiling the soul of our culture through the universal language of music and dance on Ghana's Most Beautiful. This week, our remarkable contestants take you on a journey into our heritage.
I still can't erase the memory of how my friend was raped, and due to her inability to confide in anyone,
bringing to life the essence of our traditions, sharing the captivating stories woven into our indigenous music and dance forms. Tune in for a mesmerizing episode this Sunday. Remember, it's another eviction week, and to keep your favorite contestant in the competition, dial *713*13# or download the TV3 reality app to vote. GMB 20.
Welcome back. This is Ghana Tonight. The Ghana National Association of Teachers and the Ghana National Graduate Teacher Association, that's NAGRAT, they've described the setting up of the Monuments Committee to solely determine the emolument of Article 71 office holders as discriminatory. Now, the two pre-tertiary education unions were reacting to the setting up of the committee recently by President Akufo-Addo. Take a look.
Police service. The senior officers within the police service retire on their salaries. The junior officers do not retire on their salary. The same as the Ghana Armed Forces. The same as the judiciary. If we don't change this discriminatory emolument regime, let us not be surprised that productivity cannot increase.
Most of the people that go into that particular service, we are not saying that they should not be paid. That is not what we are saying, no. Okay, that is not what we are saying. But the worker, the ordinary worker under Article 190, I tell you, majority of them retire into family homes. And when you go there, you won't last long. I tell you, even if God has credited your account with 80 years, you will even beg God to take that credit.
Call it whatever you want to call it. But the discriminatory emolument policy of our state is really not helping. And it contributes to corruption.
Once we are in the month of September, we are left with October, November, and budget is expected to be read somewhere November. And so once that of the Article 71 people is going to start, we should do all together so that we can finish everything on time and put it to the budget. We are good to go.
Well, that's the General Secretary of Ghana National Association of Teachers there, Thomas Musa. But let me give you an idea of the ex-gratia, maybe you can put it as the pension package of the Article 71 office holders. Take a look at this. Between 2017 and 2020, that's the recommendations by the Professor Ya Intiamwa Bedu Emoluments Committee report. Between 2017 and 2020, that ex-gratia for 4 years, for the president, 659,392. Vice president, 549,492. Speaker of Parliament, 488,456. Cabinet minister, who is also an MP, 464,032. Cabinet minister who is not an MP, 457,928. Member of Parliament, 390,768. Member of the Council of State, 366,340. You remember Togbi Apede thought that, look, this was really not a fair one for him. He returned it, and that became a topical issue in this country. But then again, bear in mind that this is all plus the allowances and all the other benefits that they enjoy while in office. And that's why the labor unions are raising questions about discriminatory practices. Austin Game is a labor expert. He's joining me on Zoom. Thank you so much, Mr. Game, for your time here on Ghana Tonight. I mean, first of all, to find out from you, you're hearing from these labor unions and what the president inaugurated this committee 2 days ago. What are some of the issues that you would want them to take into consideration in having a discussion about emoluments of Article 71 office holders?
Obviously, because of time factor, that is to say that many years have passed since the commencement of the Fourth Republic, and committees upon committees have been set up. We've learned lessons as a nation. And so it's about time this particular committee would take the views and concerns of the stakeholders who are eventually the paymasters of the people concerned in this particular case. And so it's about time some high-level reforms are integrated into the kind of emolument that they will recommend for consideration by Parliament and the Executive.
The position, Mr. Sangame, of NAT and NAGRAT, at least, those two labor unions, is that setting up these emoluments committees to determine the emoluments of Article 71 office holders is discriminatory and has to be looked at, because for the larger labor union or labor force in this country, they don't enjoy this when they're going on retirement. Hello?
Whereas I appreciate the concerns they are raising, it is a constitutional injunction on the president to ensure that this is done. Otherwise, we ourselves would say that they have violated the Constitution of Ghana. If the time comes for an amendment of the Constitution and the citizenry, including them, finds it, offensive to continue to maintain that particular article in the Constitution, then they can make a strong case for it. For now, it's an imperative, and it does not lie in the bosom of the president to decide unilaterally to scrap it. What they have asked for can be considered and taken into consideration, particularly so when there is room for them also to negotiate their conditions of service as the case may be. So if something we cannot afford to pay, they can raise it, but to say they should scrap it until the Constitution is amended, it does not lie within the powers of the president to say.
But in the interim, as they have raised this concern for you, what has to be done to at least show that there's an attempt to address these issues that the labor unions have been talking about?
Patient with one another, maybe stop blaming each other, and find a way of working out, a more acceptable way of rewarding. Do we need parliament? Yes, we need it. Do we need executives? Yes, we need them. So let's be patient with one another. We have a lot of capabilities, the competencies. So we can all support the committee that is in place to ensure that the right thing is done. And indeed, we have opportunity under the collective bargaining processes to negotiate our conditions of service. So everybody should just relax and let's see how we can work together to develop our nation in a way that is acceptable to all of us. That's the way I see it.
Thank you very much. Austin Game, labor expert, consultant. Thank you. Appreciate your time here on Ghana Tonight. And remember, there's more news on 3news.com. Make some time and visit 3news.com. Join me and the rest of the team tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. on Key Point. Also going to be live on 3FM 92.7. Thank you very much for staying with us here on Ghana Tonight. I am Alfred Ocansey. Do have a good night.
Ghana Tonight is brought to you by Flamingo Paint. Superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage, simply superior.